Hello. Hello.
Awesome says, I have a question. Please ask your question. Leave it in the chat. I will respond to your question. Oh, I'm not doing this thing again now. Okay.
If your iron surface is rusting and you are seeing all this rust on it, this is how to do it properly so that it will not affect your paint. Because if you don't do it properly, when you paint, after you paint it, the rust will also show on top of the paint you paint. So what you need to do is to get an anti-rust or a red oxide primer. So you get the anti-rust. It's usually in a gallon like this. So you get it. They call it anti-rust. Put it, apply it on the iron. But before you apply it, make sure you sandpaper the iron so that you can remove most of the rust and dust it before you apply the anti-rust. After applying it, you wait for it to dry. Then you can sand it lightly, and then you paint your gloss or whatever paint you want to use on it. So that is the perfect way to get the best finish. Because if you say you want to paint on a rust surface, it's even though whether it's white, brown, blue that you paint, over a short period of time, you later see that the rust will be there back. Rust will also show on top of the paint you paint. So what you need to
Thank you, sir.
So somebody is asking, can primer fully cover water stains after leak is fixed? That is, this person has a leaking pipe, and then due to that, water is staining the wall, and then they have a stain. The person is now asking that after they fix the pipe, can they put primer to block the stain? The answer is yes. You can use a primer, a stain blocking primer, to reduce that stain. In fact, most primer in nowadays have certain level of stain blocking, but if you can get a stain blocking primer, is better. You paint it on two coats before you now paint your paint, so that way the paint you are putting on it, the stain will not show. Somebody was telling me, it was yesterday, that there was a place he was painting, and somebody used biro to write something on the wall, and due to that he painted multiple coats on it, and the biro was still showing. Well, so what you need in this kind of situation is a stain blocking primer. So a stain blocking primer will blind that place. It will block the stain from showing on your paint. So that's what you need for any type of paint, whether it's housebound, any type of paint or watermark or anything. So just use a stain blocking primer. It will reduce it. Should you paint your room with matte paint? These are the things you need to know before you paint your room with matte paint. You see, matte paint is a kind of emulsion paint that has a higher grade. So if you want to paint your room with matte, you have to know that matte is different from satin. Why? Because satin is easily cleanable, while matte is not. Matte is not easily cleanable, but matte is also a higher grade paint. In fact, most people that don't want something that's shiny because of the shininess of satin, they end up going for matte, which is also very beautiful and durable. Yes, you can paint your room with matte, but know that it is not easily cleanable like satin. Yes, you can still clean it, but it's not, because when you are cleaning it, you realize that there are some friction. Unlike satin, that is very smooth and glossy, but matte is not like that. But it's also durable. You can also clean it, but it's not as easy as satin in terms of how to clean them. Somebody is asking, what color combination should you mix to get navy blue? You see, what you need to get navy blue is a deep blue. You get a deep blue. You can get midnight blue or brilliant blue. That's 0012 for those that know the code. So you get brilliant blue, then you get small black. So you mix the small black until you get the tone of navy blue you want to get. So that's how to achieve navy blue. Because when you look at navy blue, it's a color that it's blue, but there is a tint of black in it. Like there's a shade of black in it. So you mix it together under good lighting and until you get the tone you want, and then you stop. So that's how to get navy blue. Before you change your satin paint to emulsion paint, here are the things you need to know. Yes, you can change from satin, maybe satin that was on your wall before, and then you want to change it to emulsion. Yes, it's possible, but here are some things you need to know. Now, you need to know that satin is shining and easily cleanable, but when you change it to emulsion, it means you don't have that opportunity of saying, okay, you can clean the paint again. So yes, emulsion is also a good paint that you can use, but before you even paint the emulsion on the satin, make sure you sandpaper the surface very well. You dust off the dust there, and if you have money, you can get a primer, put it on it, and then you paint your emulsion paint on it. So that is good, but I don't know why anybody wants to change from satin to emulsion. Probably because of they don't like the shininess or something. But satin, in terms of quality, is usually better than most emulsion paint. So but those are the things you need to keep in mind before changing satin to emulsion. Somebody is asking, can you use gloss paint for wooden door? The answer is yes. So you can use gloss paint, or what most people call oil paints, to paint your wooden door. In fact, it's one of the best options you can use to paint your wooden door. But there are some things you need to do. So you need to sandpaper the surface very well. After sandpapering the surface, So you what's it called, you sandpaper it, you dust the surface. If you have money, get a wood primer, you prime the wall, the wood, and then after that you paint your gloss on it, so that will make the wood come out very well and shining. So gloss is one of the best paints. The other paints you can also use is satin. You can use satin paint for wood as well, it will also come out nice. Another one that you can also use is matte gloss, but though matte gloss is not something that's common in Nigeria, but there are some companies that are now doing it. It's gloss, but it's not shiny like normal gloss. It has a dull feel like matte. So but it's also very good. You can use it for wood. Somebody is asking, is matte paint the same as satin paint? Don't confuse the two. They are two different paints. This is satin paint, why this one is matte paint. You see, satin paint has a glossy feel, that is, it's shining and glossy and smooth. While matte paint has a flat feel, like that is, it's something is like emulsion, so it's very flat. It's smooth and flat, but it's not glossy like satin. But both of them also have their strengths. For example, matte paint is usually very strong on the outside of your house, while satin paint is strong on the inside. Yes, you can use matte on the inside, but in terms of satin is not advisable to use on the outside because it will not last long. Because that shining thing you are saying, if you paint it on the outside, it will not last long. So that's why you use matte for outside, satin for inside. You can also use matte for outside, matte for inside. So those are the things you can do. So Alayo says, I messaged you on WhatsApp but no request. Sorry, I will respond. Probably you messaged me at night yesterday, so I've not been able to come on WhatsApp. Okay, somebody. So for now, we don't have stain blocking primer. What we have is, yes, we have a primer that you can use for stain blocking, but it's not on this display. So that one is 20 liters and it's 80,000 naira. So if you need it, you can send me a message. I will you can get it. So that's the stain blocking primer. So Alayo, yes, I'll respond to you on WhatsApp. Just give me some minutes. Give me some not minutes, hours, because I have a lot of things to cover here. We have more than 100 and something questions that people have asked that we've not been able to respond to. So we have to quickly respond to them because time waits for nobody. So what's the difference between test coat and normal paint? So somebody is asking, what's the difference between test coat and normal paint? When the person, I think what the person means by normal paint is emulsion, satin, matte. So what's the difference? Test coat versus emulsion. So test coat is a textured paint, like just from the name, is a textured paint. What does that mean? It means it contains stones, small stones, and it's usually rough on the wall. Why emulsion paint is smooth, emulsion, satin, matte, those ones are smooth. Test coats used to be something that people are using, people were using in the, like, not let me say in the olden days, but not in the distant past. Like they were using it. Why? Because it was famous, everybody wants to go with the something that's in vogue. But nowadays people don't want to use test coat again, because most people will be like, oh, when you paint your wall with test coat, reptiles like snake, lizard will be able to climb your wall easily, because it creates friction for them to be able to grip onto. But when you paint your wall with satin, matte, emulsion, those ones are smooth, so it prevents some of those things from climbing your wall. So that is the difference between test coat and satin. If you want something that's currently that people are currently using, they've moved away from test coats. Now they are using satin, matte, weather mask, emulsion. So those are the things people currently use now. Somebody is asking, can I paint stucco paint can I paint satin on stucco? Yes, you can do that, but there are some things you need to do, because stucco paint is a paint that is very smooth. In fact, very very smooth. You think it's glass. So whatever it is you want to put on it, if you are not careful, it will not stay very well. So, but here are some things you need to do. One, you need to sandpaper the surface very well. Sandpaper the surface very well. Make sure you dust it, and then get a primer. Why? Because the prime, you have a smooth surface that's like glass. You need something that's like gum, that will gum whatever paint you want to put on it. So that is the work of your primer. So you apply primer on the stucco. After it dries, then you now apply your satin paints. That's how you can paint satin on stucco. But if you go directly and paint satin on stucco, you just see that the satin is just peeling off and every other thing. So, but those are the things you need to do before painting satin on stucco.